What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the God Next podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Baldwin, with my co-host, Donovan Moore.
What's going on, fellas?
Yep. Say what's up, B.
How y'all doing? We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. The 3 weeks left in the season.
Yep, wildcard round is over. We are down to 4 teams. No, we're down to 8 teams. Excuse me. We'll be down to 4 teams next week as we got the different championships, man, in each conference. So without further ado, we'll be getting to our picks for this week, the divisional round. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all of that type of stuff. And without further ado, let's get into our divisional round picks.
Three-pointers. Outside jumper from three at the bucket.
All right, be kicking off this week with the Texans and the Chiefs. Who did the Texans beat last week?
Chargers.
The Chargers. Yeah, I think we all picked the Chargers too. So
we did.
Sure took the Chargers.
Yep, not looking too good for us so far. But this week, will we get it right? B, who are you picking for this one?
Well, first of all, I guess kudos to the Texans for upsetting the Chargers. They probably should have been favored in retrospect. I mean, they were at home. The Texans actually do have a really solid defense. However, I'm looking at the 4 games this week. I think this is the most obvious winner-loser game of the week. The Chiefs are just not going to lose to the Texans. Let's be real here. Texans have never made it to an AFC championship in their entire history. And I believe the last time they played the Chiefs in the playoffs, granted, it was a different Houston team, but still, this is just a fun fact. They were up 24-0. It was when they had Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt still. They're up 24-0, and they end up losing to the Chiefs 51-31. So, and that was on the Chiefs' road to their first Super Bowl with Mahomes and Reed. So, I mean, we saw them play a month ago, the week before Christmas. It was like 27-19, but the Chiefs never felt like they were going to lose that game. I have a feeling it's going to be a similar vibe in this one. The Chiefs might not blow them out, but they're going to be in command for most of the game. The Chiefs are just too strong. They obviously have Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Reid. They have Chris Jones, Travis Kelce. They have the veterans. They have the strength on both sides of the ball. They're not completely stacked, but they're so well coached and so well equipped in moments like these. And the Texans just aren't ready for them.
Yeah, I got to go with the Chiefs as well. Since Patrick Mahomes has become the starter, usually the Chiefs hit another level when it comes to playoff time, especially at home. So this will be a good game. It will be a good game, but I'm going to take the Chiefs at home to win. They just reach a different gear in the postseason. And Houston, they've had a great season with all their injuries. So I feel like they'll have a few question marks going ahead, definitely with the status of Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs going forward. But just for the sake of this game, I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think their defense will be dominant, and I think their offense will control the clock. I can see Pacheco running the ball well here. It could be close, but I still take Kansas City to win at home.
Yeah, give me the Chiefs. Mahomes and Kelce have not played since Christmas, was it? So, yeah, they haven't played since Christmas. They've had a lot of rest, just kind of preparing for this moment in the playoffs, and this is when the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So I think we're going to see nothing less than what we already expect. Hollywood Brown is going to help them a lot. I think you might just see vintage Mahomes, honestly. And this Texans team, honestly, they got the dub last week, but I saw this team score 2 points not that long ago. I think that was like 2 weeks ago. So, I don't really believe in the squad, if I'm being honest with you. CJ Stroud, I mean, obviously had a disappointing regular season, but I think for all the injuries and everything that's kind of gone wrong with them, I think they would kind of take being in the situation that they're in and then losing to the Chiefs eventually. So it's kind of still a successful season for the Texans. But I think ultimately I'm going to go with the Chiefs and this matchup. Next up, Dono's Commanders, who defeated the Bucs last week. How you feel about that dub, first of all? We'll start right there.
I had a feeling we could beat Tampa Bay. I think every team that we've lost to that we've had a chance to rematch against this year, we've beat them in the rematch. So Jaden Daniels, it's hard to really think of words to describe him. He's just a different player, and just having the quarterback, because there's still a lot of holes on this Washington team. Don't get me wrong. Defensively, especially, we don't have a consistent run game, and outside of Terry McLaurin, not really many consistent weapons on offense. But just having the quarterback kind of mask all those weaknesses. So it was a great win for Washington. They controlled the clock, especially that last drive. Jaden Daniels showed a lot of poise and maturity, leading the team down the field, knowing the time and game management. So it was definitely a solid win last week. Going into this week, yeah. This is a potent Lions offense. It's in Detroit. The crowd's going to be rocking. The Lions have a chance to do something they've never done, which is maybe possibly reach a Super Bowl. I mean, they have a good shot with home field advantage. So they have everything in their favor. I think it'll be a close game for sure because you could just never count Jaden Daniels out. And then the Lions defense these past few weeks has been god awful. So one thing Washington can do is score the ball. What concerns me is defensively. So although it's been a great season for Washington, I want to take my team to win. I think it'll be closer than a lot of people expect. But I just don't think we're there just yet to where we could beat a team like the Lions at home, especially with them getting David Montgomery back. I think the Lions just will control the clock, run the football, try to keep Daniels off the field. And it's been a great season, so I'm proud of Washington, but I don't think we have what it takes just yet to beat a more complete team like the Lions. So I'll unfortunately have to take the Lions in this one. I'll be honest here, fellas.
Well, kudos to the season Washington Commanders have had, and congratulations on the playoff win.
Your mic sounds weird.
Does it still sound bad?
Nah, you're good now.
Cool. I said congratulations to the Commanders, first playoff win in 19 years. I guess Tampa's a good spot for them to play the first round matchup because that's who their opponent was 19 years ago. But I think we all picked the Commanders. It was kind of like 50-50 to all of us. We all went Commanders, if I remember correctly. So good pick by all of us because there had to be one upset, and even though that wasn't really an upset, it was like the only underdog technically who won in Wildcard weekend on the road. That is, but going into this week, I know I said the Chiefs are the most obvious winner of the week. I still think that. I do think this game has the potential to be the biggest lopsided victory of the week just because that's what the Lions like to do to teams. But like Dono stated, I do think there's a chance the Commanders can hang in there. One thing I noticed the other night is they were doing a really good job of getting into 3rd and 2 or less situations, and Jane Daniels is going to be hard to stop in those type of situations because of the dual threat he is. And Scary Terry is scary as ever with having a legitimate QB. At the end of the day, I do think Detroit just having that crowd rocking at home and them having the regular season they did, I do think they should be too strong to lose a game like this. I do think they would have a couple turnovers and a couple plays go against them and calls go against them for this to be like a close game that they can lose at the end. But I think with the bye week and everyone being zoned in and seeing the opportunity ahead for them to host an NFC championship for the first time ever, I don't think they're going to let this moment pass. And I think they're going to come out strong and be the Lions that we've seen all year. I think their defense is suspect right now, but I also think Washington's defense is probably suspect as well, even though they have good leaders like Bobby Wagner. I do think the Lions offensive line presents a new challenge to something that defense hasn't seen all year. And I do think, like you said, it's their first time playing them this year, so it's not a rematch. I think the Lions be a huge disappointment they lost, so I think they're going to win.
I lied. I'm actually going to go with Washington. I lied.
Oh, okay.
I lied because Jaden Daniels. That's all I have to say. Jaden Daniels. The Lions have everything on their side. Nobody's giving Washington a shot. But one of the few teams that beat Detroit this year was Tampa Bay in Detroit. So I feel like Washington's going to look back at that film, and I feel like the Lions, although they have weapons, I don't know. Washington's been finding ways to win these last 6 to 7 weeks to end off the regular season. Detroit had a week off as well. So although they might be coming into it the more healthy team, I just feel like I don't know. It's just something about this Washington team that I just can't really put my finger on. They just been finding ways to win, even when you count them down and out. So I'm gonna go with Jaden Daniels. I think it might be a rematch in the NFC Championship, a three-peat of the Eagles and Washington matchup. So I'm going Washington in this one. I'm not going against my boys. I think Jaden Daniels is just gonna find a way to get it done. I think the Lions are a little too cocky going into this one. So I think Washington gonna get it done.
Hell of a flip there, man. I respect it. I'm going with the Lions, though, ultimately. I think I just think that they're the more balanced team, and I feel like their ceiling is just ridiculous. Like, if they show up and they're even close to the regular season Lions, I don't think it's going to be close. Just because the Lions' offense is it's dynamic, and I don't know if the Commanders' defense would be ready for that if the Lions' offense is clicking on an actual, good day for them. But I think like Donald said, it's going to have to take some miscues from the Lions. It's going to have to take, a couple turnovers, some plays not to go their way, some calls not to go their way for them to lose. But, if the Lions don't blow them out, I think this game is very much in play for the Commanders. If it's close at the end, you give Jaden Daniels some time to march down the field. I mean, it's anybody's game at that point. You don't know what's going to happen. Jaden Daniels is really poised, especially there's been a lot of games that's come down to the wire for the Commanders, and then Jaden just kind of steps up and just makes it happen, gets it done. So, yeah, I'm going with the Lions, but this I think it'll be surprisingly an entertaining game. So next up, we got the Rams and the Eagles. Honestly, did not expect the Rams to be here in this position, but here you are, man. So, I mean, is anybody picking them against the Eagles?
The Eagles blew them out when they played in Los Angeles, and that's when Saquon had his big 200-yard plus game. I do think the Rams play them tighter here just because they're so well coached and so poised and so young and on both sides of the ball, and they're well coached. So that's why I think they play well on both sides of the ball. And I do think Matthew Stafford is a legitimate playoff QB. But I do think at the end of the day, it's supposed to snow in Philly. And any game the Eagles lose before the NFC Championship this year would be an offense to the city of Philadelphia. I mean, they're going to be upset if they lose any game, but I think with the team they built, they expect to at least make the NFC Championship this year, especially after the 49ers were not the contender that they weren't supposed to be this year. At pretty much Lions Eagles supposed to be the NFC Championship after San Fran we found out wasn't the team that they are. So a lot of pressure on them, and I think they have enough tools to win the game. I don't know how well Jalen Hurts is going to play, but he's got Saquon Barkley, he's got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, that offensive line, and they got some dogs on defense too. Jalen Carter is the leader of the pack, and I think they just have enough talent to script by the Rams even with inferior coaching.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the Eagles at home in this one. They'll have the crowd behind them. They have a solid defense. The Rams are very well coached, so this will not be a blowout by any means, unless Matthew Stafford were to get hurt, God forbid, or anything like that. But I think there's definitely a close game because the Eagles. The only reason I'm going to take them is because they have the more complete team. I feel like the Rams have the advantage in coaching, and I'm not going to say in overall QB play they have the advantage, but in terms of making the tight window throws or making the necessary throw that you need in kind of a big moment. I feel like I would trust Stafford to make that throw more at this moment than I would Jalen Hurts. But the Eagles just have so many weapons. They have a great offensive and defensive line. So if you can control the trenches, you ultimately control the game. So we all know those Philly fans are going to be crazy. It's going to be a big game. So I'm going to take the Eagles at home, but I think this will definitely be a close game, though.
Give me the Eagles. The Rams, decent team. I actually do believe that they have the better quarterback. Jalen Hurts is I don't know, man. It's been just kind of weird. It's all of his playoff performances, when they win, he doesn't really play that well. And then, when they lost in the Super Bowl, he looked great. So I don't really know. I want to kind of see him put a complete game together, where he looks great and the team wins in the playoffs. That'd be nice to see. What do you guys think of the A.J. Brown situation? Another thing.
I mean, he just seems – I don't think he's being diva at the fullest level, but I do think he's I should be getting the ball more than I'm getting it. And I know him and Jalen Hurts are close too, so it makes things kind of complicated. But I think he's also damn. He probably in the deepest of his mind doesn't think Jalen Hurts is top tier.
It was something on another Eagles player's Instagram story. He was reading the book when they played Washington game and lost as well. So it's probably something he does. The camera, of course, is going to show it in the game where he's not getting the football to make it seem like it's bigger than what it is. So
I'm not going to say something's wrong there, but I'm not going to say it's.
It's not good.
It could be better.
Playoffs to be talking about that after you just got to win. But it's something that they're probably used to it. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't think it's nothing at the same time. That's how I feel. Because I feel like there's been little stuff throughout the season that kind of lead to A.J. Brown getting to this point. Obviously, there was the one that stands out to me is when they won against the Panthers. Saquon Barkley had a huge day. A.J. Brown didn't have a huge day. And then in the press conference after, they're like, what's wrong with the team or whatever? And he's like, the passing. And it's just come on, bro. That was your opportunity to be like, Saquon Barkley's killing. We have an MVP on our team. That's all that matters. The team's coming. That's really all you got to say. So for you to make that moment about yourself, I feel like we're working up to an imploding situation with the Eagles between Sirianni, between Hurts, between AJ Brown. Something has to give in this situation. I feel like
it's always going to be the coach. We always say,
yeah, for sure. Like, I think the coach is going to go first, and then, but I don't know how I feel about AJ Brown, man. Like that, I feel like it's always just little punches that he's adding to the team, and it's not really helping at the end of the day. I feel like you could just say the positive thing, and then
he's probably one more frustrated year from being on the trade block.
No, I think so. I don't think he'll be there super long term. Honestly, to be honest with you, I don't think he's super happy there.
He's a star wide receiver. You're not meant to stay in one place for too long.
No, for sure. But back to the game. I do have the Eagles, and I do think that they'll be able to get the dub here. The imploding situation, I don't think it'll happen this week. But I mean, eventually, I do think it's coming down the pine eventually. So next up, last but not least, the game of maybe the year so far. I'm not gonna lie. I think it is game of the year. The Ravens and the Bills. I don't know who's gonna be not watching this game. Or be like, it's actually ridiculous. If you're not watching this game, what are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you at? So B, who do you have for this game? The Ravens and the Bills. This is crazy.
I mean, this is such a good game with such big stakes if you think about it, because both of these teams have been to one AFC championship over the last 4 years. They usually lose this round, but they both can't lose this round because they're playing each other. And I think they played 4 years ago in the playoffs. Lamar didn't have half the supporting cast he does now. And Josh Allen probably had a bigger supporting cast back then than he does now, but probably is a better, smarter player today. And the Bills beat them. But earlier this year, we all know what the Ravens did to them in Week 4 in Baltimore. It looked like a mismatch because, let's be honest, the Bills' defense, I think Sean McDermott's a good coach and coaches them up well, but in the biggest games over the years, they have let them down big time. And I'm trying to find a reason in my head to see why it won't be different this time. But I do think Derrick Henry adds a whole nother dimension to that team. They're not champions yet, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's kind of like when KD joined the Warriors. You know what I mean? It's like you have two 1A, you have a 1A and a 1B on your team. It's like if you're going to account for Derrick Henry, how are you going to account for Lamar and vice versa? So, like, that's why I think they finally started beating teams like the Steelers, who they struggled against, and they're also getting into situations where I was saying with Jaden Daniels, where it's 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1. It's like, how do you stop a team like that on that? You don't even need to have a good offensive line when you have Lamar and Derrick Henry in your backfield. On the flip side, I think the Bills are going to have to score quick if they score against the Ravens. I think James Cook's a solid back, but I don't think they have that second superstar, and they got to figure out a way to get the Ravens off the field. Ultimately, this game comes down to probably who has the ball last, unless the Ravens are able to make a couple stops. And whose defense do I trust to make more of a significant stop? I'd have to say the Ravens, just because of the all-pros they have on their team. And I really want to see the Bills win this game. I do not like seeing the Ravens succeed, but if I'm just being brutally honest, I do think they have the edge in this game, strictly because Lamar and Derrick Henry. So I'm going to have to go with them. I hope to God I'm wrong, but it just looks like it could also snow in this game. We saw a couple of years ago the Bills played the Bengals in the snow, and they got blown out. The Bengals took advantage of that. They made it seem like it was their home field. I just feel like this could be trouble for the Bills, although I do think they'll put up a fight and it'll come down to the end. But I just think the Ravens got too much offense for that Bills defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Baltimore as well. One of the key changes that Baltimore made, just outside of the obvious one, adding Derrick Henry to the fold, was when they moved Kyle Hamilton back to playing like deep safety. Instead of playing up near the line of scrimmage, the Ravens' pass defense vastly improved since they made that move. Since they made that change, I believe they've been top 3 in scoring defense and top 5 in passing defense. So that change right there, they already had a solid run defense, but that change right there showing up the back 4 of their secondary has really helped them in a lot of ways. So I feel like the Ravens are found their stride at the perfect time, and the way they look right now with that duo of Lamar and Derrick Henry, even if Zay Flowers doesn't play again this week, I just feel like you can't key in on one too much. So that's what makes the Ravens so hard to stop. And then you add in Andrews and Likely, who have still been playing, and Rashad Bateman has been playing some very good football this season. He's finally been healthy, so that's good to see. So I'm going to take the Ravens to win this matchup here. I think they'll go get their matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to rematch from last year's AFC Championship as well. I just feel like the Ravens have made some key changes this year that has really changed the direction of that team, and I just think they're locked in right now, and I can't see Buffalo beating them. It's been a great season for Buffalo, but this matchup, I can't see them beating the Ravens. Even though they're at home, I just still see the Ravens taking this matchup here.
I will say Josh Allen's the best wildcard round QB of all time. You just look at every single year. I mean, a number 2 seed should not be playing a 7 seed in the playoffs. It's ridiculous, but teams like the Packers and Cowboys make it seem like that stuff's possible, but it's really not. But go ahead, Mitch. My bad.
Nah, you're good. I don't know if I'm a Josh Allen believer, man. Well, I'm not. I'm not even gonna say I don't know if I'm not a Josh Allen believer. So I'm going with the Ravens here. I think it's very telling that this is a home game for the Bills and they are not favored. Honestly, I didn't expect the Bills to make it as far as they have. I think they've kind of overachieved what they've had, to be honest. I think Josh Allen has kind of carried this team to where they're at right now. Entering the season, they lost Stephon Diggs, lost Gabe Davis. They didn't really have a wide receiver one coming in. I honestly would argue now they still really don't have a wide receiver one. Any given week, it could be a different guy for them. Their tight ends are actually in a really good spot, so they're good there. And then James Cook is pretty good, and then their defense it's okay. Like, it's not great, but it's they don't really have great days, and I feel like you're going to need to have a great day versus the Ravens, and I don't know if I trust that to happen because again, we got to guard Lamar and Derrick Henry, and then when Lamar does decide to throw the ball, it's just like, obviously with Zay Flowers not being there, that changes their pass game a little bit, but you still got Likely, you still got Andrews, you still got Bateman who's playing pretty well, and you still got Deontay non-playing. So I think so yeah, I'm going with the Ravens. But that leads us into our last question, bonus question here. Who has more pressure in this game? Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? Who do you have here?
It's so close because if the Bills were to lose this game, this would be the 4th year in a row they'd lose in the divisional round and the 3rd year in a row at home. So that is not a good look whatsoever. And they've been this is the 3rd time they've been 13-3, and this year 13-4 under McDermott. It's gone 10-6, 13-3, 11-6, 13-3, 11-6, 13-4. So they're on like a pattern that they go on every single year, and this is like the 5th time they've been the 2 seed too, or 4th time.
To add on to that, I think if Josh Allen loses his game, I think he'll be the first QB to lose. Was it 4 or 5 consecutive times in the same round?
It would be the 4th. Yeah, it'd be the 4th year.
Yeah, Andy Dalton was the other one that did it for the Bengals.
Yeah, and it was around before for Andy Dalton. I mean, obviously we all know Josh Allen's an elite quarterback, but I think this really does. The winner of this game is, especially if it's Lamar having 2 MVPs, he's going to be considered the 2nd best QB in the league if he wins this game, even if they don't beat the Chiefs next week. Like, he's the strong number 2 after Mahomes. But I think at the same time, if they lose with Derrick Henry against Bills team that really doesn't have another superstar besides Josh Allen, I think that's a bad look too. I think either one of them is. I wasn't about to curse, but whoever loses this game, it's not a good look, bro, for either one of them. I think this question's almost impossible to answer, and the winner still has to go on to beat the Chiefs. So I think it's way worse to be the loser than it is good to be the winner of this game. I think whoever loses this game is going to have so much crap talked about them, but I think Lamar's got the better team, so I'll lean towards him.
Yeah, I agree with you, B. I'm a lean towards Lamar has more pressure, but I feel like they both receive a lot of criticism, but Lamar receives way more criticism, in my opinion, than Josh Allen does. And Josh Allen has had better weapons up until a certain point in his career than Lamar has had up until they got Derrick Henry this year and Zay Flowers last year. But I feel like just since Lamar has those MVP awards, more pressure will go to him because he has the as y'all know, Mr. Connolly would say, the hardware. So just the fact that he has 2 MVPs, maybe even getting the 3rd one this year, if he were to lose this matchup, as we all know, people would be quick to get on Lamar. I feel like if Josh Allen were to lose, he would still receive the criticism, but he wouldn't receive the same level of criticism that Lamar would get. They would just be like, oh, well, he didn't really have a defense and he didn't really have any weapons on the outside. There would be an excuse kind of built in for Josh Allen. For Lamar, people wouldn't really give him an excuse. So I feel like more of the pressure's on Lamar. So that's even more reason I feel like he should be motivated to get it done to kind of silence everybody that does doubt him. But to answer the question, I would say more of it's unfairly on Lamar Jackson.
And can I say one more thing? Is it just crazy, or would if Joe Burrow was in this game, would you guys trust him a little more than you would either of these 2 quarterbacks? I sort of would, even though I think he's the least talented and has the least all pros out of all these guys. He doesn't have any, but I feel like in these types of situations, he's kind of cooler than both these guys. And
I mean, we've seen Burrow do it.
The thing is, I trust Burrow. I don't trust Burrow's team.
Exactly. He's by far got the worst team. Like every year, these 2 teams have better records than than the Bengals. And Josh Allen has multiple All-Pros. Lamar's got multiple MVPs. Joe Burrow doesn't have that. But for some reason, I just feel like – I'm not saying Joe Burrow is the number 2 QB, but I feel like he's like the second most trustworthy after Mahomes. And that trustworthiness is a big attribute.
For sure. More pressure for me is going to be definitely Lamar in this game. Again, I think the Bills have overachieved. Coming into the season, I didn't have them as a playoff team, if I'm being honest. But Josh Allen, he's great. So he was able to carry the team here. But ultimately, now it's completely flipped between Josh Allen and Lamar. Now Lamar is the guy with the weapons. And now Josh Allen's the guy where it's like the Ravens have 9 All-Pros this year. The Bills have 2. Like it's just like it's not really close. Like this team is just significantly better. I don't think that the Bills are supposed to make it here. So I know they're happy to be here, but I think this is unfortunately where it ends. And yeah, whoever loses is going to get a lot of flack. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, that's what's going to make it a great matchup. So that kind of does it for this episode, the divisional episode of the God Next podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Do you guys have anything else to add?
It's going to be fun to watch First Take and FS1 shows on Monday because a lot of them are really on Josh Allen. A lot of them are really on Lamar, and it's going to be fun to see whichever one of them loses to see if they can like admit their faults a little bit and just say, I was a little too cocky here. Like the other guy deserves some credit too.
Speaking of FS1, has Joy Taylor ever came out and said anything about any of the accusations? Nothing came out about that? Nothing?
Treating it like the show goes on.
Is their show still on? Their show still running?
Yeah.
That's crazy. They just kind of got on there and just acted like nothing happened. That's crazy. Well, appreciate you guys, and we will catch you next week.
Yes, sir.